Before the market opens, let's identify where the highest probability supply and demand zones are forming. By the end of this forecast, you'll know exactly which markets I'd be watching this week and which one I think offers the best opportunity. Let's get into it. Starting the forecast off with the DXY, we were talking about last week how we had an upward trend line. This trend line was removed. Definitely a bearish sign. I wasn't too concerned about my dollar long bias. However, very aggressive move down, and the most concerning thing about that US dollar bullish bias is the fact that on the weekly chart we still have 2 hours left for this candle to close, but the weekly trend has broken. So I was expecting this weekly trend line to continue to the upside and push to this weekly supply at 103.06. I still think it is possible, and here is the case for still being bullish on the dollar. If you look here, this is a monthly chart of the DXY. You can see not only are we at the middle part of the downward channel, we are in a monthly area of demand. A monthly demand zone is very strong. It's stronger than a daily chart. So we still have a monthly demand in control. However, it is tested, so it's very tricky to determine where the US dollar is headed. We will have to be monitoring the 4-hour time frame. And I mean, it's so obvious. We are so overextended. I'm not saying that there's any evidence to suggest that the dollar will continue to, turn around and go up. However, we're so overextended, we could expect kind of a dead cat bounce here and maybe break the trend line. So as far as determining where the US dollar will be headed next week, I will be watching this 4-hour trend line. If it continues to hold, we could expect it to continue to go down. And if the trend line breaks, that could be more signs for evidence to suggest the dollar will continue to go up. But I won't deny, I've been bullish on the dollar this entire time, and I've pretty much been right every time we've come back into the weekly zone, but I was wrong. I thought the weekly trend line was going to hold, and it looks like it is going to break. So we are expecting to see US dollar weakness, but again, we're so overextended we could see some sort of dead cat bounce on the DXY. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar weekly time frame first. The weekly trend line, we still have 18 minutes, but the weekly trend line is basically removed. We are breaking above the trend line. Definitely a bullish sign for the Euro US dollar. Even if we get a massive pullback over the next couple of months, it's a nice weekly zone down below. But as far as trading it goes now, I actually really like the Euro, because on the daily time frame, not only did we remove a downward trend line and an opposing supply zone, we were left with 2 areas of daily demand. So if you are a swing trader, even a day trader, this daily demand is going to be a great higher time frame to look for long trades inside of. So if you want to be patient, wait for this daily demand to be hit, and then once it is, we could start to look for longs on an H1 chart, and you could even be day trading in this demand zone, even on a 15-minute or a 5-minute time frame as well. Now, when this zone gets contacted, as a Discord group, I will be pointing out confirmation trades again on the H1 charts and on the day trading timeframes for the Diamond members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1-hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So this is our initial daily zone to look for confirmation, and even if we break it, we have a zone down at the extreme at 1.13. We could also be doing confirmation trades inside of as well. So the euro is looking very strong, very promising. If you want to day trade, what you want to be looking at is this 4-hour trend line. This 4-hour trend line is going to be our guide for 15-minute time frame longs. If we throw a channel tool on this trend line, it'll show us if we are overextended, and we're basically right in the middle, right? So it's a tricky one. If you want to day trade long on a 15-minute chart with this trend line, our golden zone is going to be anywhere below the 50% mark and above the trend line. This is our golden zone for day trading longs. If we break the trend line. We have a 4-hour demand zone right here. This 4-hour demand zone is basically right at the daily zone. So if you want to just set and forget this 4-hour zone, it's actually decent because we have a higher time frame zone with it, which again is the daily zone I was just pointing out. You might want a wider stop here though, just to kind of give it more wiggle room, because again, we have a higher time frame demand zone in control, or sorry, down below as well. Onto the forecast for gold weekly time frame. We had a clear area, a clear low down here. It looks like it was just some sort of fake out, as we have really started to rally here on gold. As far as trading gold goes now, we have quite a few options. It's looking somewhat similar to the euro US dollar. We have a nice daily demand down below at 41.12. If we get a pullback down to there, it's going to be a great area to look for confirmation longs on an H1 chart, and even a day trading time frame as well. We are very overextended right now, so we have to be a little bit cautious looking for longs, because it's kind of like you're chasing price. As far as trading it goes now, we do have a couple of options here on gold. If you look at the 4-hour chart, if you're a day trader, this 4-hour trend line, that's our guide for longs on a 15-minute time frame. We will throw a channel tool on this trend line to determine if we are at a good point to do so. You can see we're actually well above the 50% mark, more towards the upper end of that channel. So if we get a pullback below the 50% mark and we are above the trend line, again, that's our golden zone for 15-minute time frame longs. And what I mean by that is, however you trade, support and resistance, supply and demand, chart patterns, whatever, it's going to be on a 15-minute chart, and it's going to be in our golden zone here. If we break the trend line, just like the euro, we have a 4-hour demand sitting down below at 43.63. It's a nice little drop-based rally zone, removing a proven area of supply off of a trade that we already got off that 4-hour supply. And then if you get a deeper pullback, we have a zone sitting down below at 41.83. It's decent, definitely not as good as that zone, but a couple decent zones here on gold. If you like to use the 1-hour chart, we have a nice 1-hour trend line to the upside. It's a little bit of an aggressive trend line, so we got to be cautious with that. These more aggressive trend lines are more common to break and fake out below. But if you would look for longs on a 5-minute chart, this will be our 1-hour trend line guide for those 5-minute time frame longs on gold. And look, if we break the trend lines and we have supply zones here, then we could look for shorts off those supply zones. And why would we do that? Well, because we are so overextended to the upside, we actually could see some sort of rally back down, maybe to that daily demand that I was referring to earlier. On to the forecast for the S&P 500. You can see we have a beautiful weekly trend line. We are actually dipping below the 50% mark. So we could expect to see the S&P 500 get somewhat of a fall to the downside here. However, I think it will be short-lived, because we have a daily area of demand that broke an all-time high at 76.10 that looks like we will be approaching, along with this daily upward trend line. This daily demand is going to be a great opportunity to look for confirmation trades on the H1 timeframe. The theme of this entire forecast this week is plenty of potential confirmation trades coming. As far as how we look for confirmation inside of a daily zone, what we want to do is wait for that daily zone to be hit. Hopefully this 1-hour trend line is continuing to hold. Let's say this line is the daily demand, and as soon as this daily demand gets hit, we're going to wait for a break of the trend line, hopefully with an area of demand to look for longs off of, if we can get it. That is what we will be looking for confirmation. As far as set and forget trades go on the 4-hour chart, we have a couple of options here. I'm not going to get into detail about these zones. This zone, the appearance is better. This zone, the location is better. So this is our initial set and forget zone. I would be somewhat aggressive with trade management off that zone, meaning don't get greedy. Look for like a 1-to-1, move your stop to break even as soon as you can. That's our first zone. I think the bigger move will actually happen off the zone even lower at 75.44. As far as which one to pick, if you were to pick one, I'd probably pick the one lower just based off of location, but it doesn't mean we can't make a little bit of money off this one, make a more amount of money off of the one lower. So a couple of nice opportunities here on the S&P 500, set and forget trades and confirmation trades. It's a great mix. It's looking like it's going to be a good week. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to catch my forecast every single Saturday. Moving on to the forecast for the USDJPY. On the weekly time frame, we had that nice weekly trend line to the upside. That trend line was removed by a weekly supply at 162.20. If you want to get in long, you can, and our profit margin is very visible up to that weekly supply. If you are long, you definitely want to be looking to wrap up your trade off of when we contact that weekly supply. because it's a good zone. It removed the trend line. The move away is very good. So it's a high probability that we do see somewhat of a move off of that weekly area of supply. As far as trading it goes now, I'm really not seeing much. However, we have some positive signs forming. So if we remove this high, we will have a 4-hour trend line to the upside. And then that will be our guide for 5-minute time frame longs. But again, we need to wait for that trend line to form by removing that high. So that's what I'll be watching out for this week on the USD yen. If you like to day trade the 15-minute chart, basically the exact same thing. We are waiting for that high to be removed, and we will have a 4-hour trend line, and that will be our guide for 15-minute time frame longs. And again, our profit margin is very easily visible here up to that weekly area of supply. Moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD, you can see on the daily chart last week we did create a daily upward trend line, looking very, very strong. However, we are well above the 50% mark. We are actually more towards the upper end of that channel. So waiting for a pullback below the 50% mark in our golden zone here. Again, that's below the 50% mark and above the trend line, our golden zone. That's going to be optimal for looking for longs on the GBPUSD. When I say optimal, it doesn't mean it's required. As far as trading the GBPUSD goes now, we have quite a few options. We have a 4-hour trend line to the upside, but just like the daily, we are so overextended. We're actually above the upper end of the channel. So if you want to day trade long, you definitely want to wait for a pullback more towards the trend line to look for longs on that 15-minute time frame. And then even down below, if we get a massive pullback on the GBPUSD, we have a nice 4-hour demand down at 1.33. This purple box represents potential support and resistance, or rather support. I would like to see a reaction off this support. It would really show me there are stop losses here, which would make me even more confident in that area of demand on the GBPUSD. And look, since we're so overextended on the daily chart, like I was saying, if we actually break the trend line and there's a supply zone there, I'll have this zone on the charts for the members, and it'll be a nice little trading opportunity if we do in fact create a supply zone that removes that trend line. The only zone I'm seeing that's kind of near price is this 1-hour area of demand at 1.355. I actually really like this zone. It's a nice move away, and it removed an older, I'm not even going to go back and show you guys, but it removed an older opposing zone that was a proven area of supply. What I mean by proven is we got a reaction off of it, proving there was supply there. So when we have a zone, a proven zone, removed by a very good demand zone. I mean, look how good this demand zone is. Amazing move away. The basing is pretty good as well. That is our set and forget trade to the long side at 1.355 on the GBPUSD. Moving on to the forecast for the USDCAD. This is the country I was born in, the country that I am living in, the most likely the country I will live at forever. Where are you guys from? Tell me your story in the comments down below. As far as the weekly chart goes, really nothing to go off of. Extremely sideways market here. Very, very tricky. However, the daily time frame is actually telling us somewhat of a decent story here. Remember, price tells us a story. We removed a demand zone. And if you guys remember, if you've been following my forecast for a while, we got a nice 4-hour set and forget trade off that daily demand zone. Very, very nice trade. Let me know if you guys remember that trade in the comments down below. On the daily chart, so overextended though. This a nice daily downward trend. We are well below the 50% mark. So again, just like on the DXY, we could expect to see some sort of dead cat bounce to the upside on the USDCAD. I'm not going to talk about the daily supply above and all that stuff because we're so far away from price. We're so far away from that zone. It's not really the best to be talking about that now, but we'll talk about it in forecasts in the future. As far as the USDCAD goes now, on the 1-hour chart, we actually had this 1-hour trend line that was removed. And I'm just noticing this now, actually. We have a nice little 1-hour demand down below. It's very mediocre. It looks small. Like the move away looks small just because this move away is so big. So it's kind of an optical illusion here. We've seen such an aggressive pullback that it's a little bit tricky, but this is a decent little 1-hour zone. I would recommend 5-minute time frame confirmation inside the zone at 1.37. If you want to set and forget, you can. I would just be aggressive with trade management because again, the daily trend is down. You are trading counter trend if you buy that 1-hour zone. But the move away is decent. Again, it looks small just because of the nature of price. We've been selling off so aggressively, these zones are going to look smaller. If we get a pullback up to this supply, it's a much better zone at 1.386, and it goes along with the daily trend. Nice basing. The move away is very good. Very clean zone. Nice little discounted zone here. So that will be our 1-hour supply zone for shorts on the USDCAD. If you are a day trader, we have a nice 4-hour trend line to the downside. However, look how overextended we are. We will throw a channel tool on this Actually, it might not be too bad. But I mean, it's not horrible, but we are overextended. We are more towards the bottom end of the channel. So if you want to wait for our golden zone above the 50% mark and below the downward trend line, that's going to be our golden zone for 15-minute time frame shorts on the USDCAD. And again, since we're so overextended, if we break the trend line and there's a demand zone there, it's going to be a nice opportunity, and that's a zone I'll have on the chart for the members. We have a nice 4-hour supply above at 1401. The basing's good, the move away is very good, so that's a nice little potential pullback entry there on the USDCAD. On to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. I'm not going to look at the weekly chart. I'm not going to look at the daily chart. It's not really telling us much other than a lot of sideways price action. So very tricky right now on the Aussie US dollar. As far as framing the way you trade this, it's really all going to be on this 4-hour chart. Right now we have a 4-hour trend line. However, just like all the other trend lines right now, we've seen such aggressive moves. We are so overextended. So we have to be patient. Patience pays, guys. I cannot stress that enough. If you struggle with psychology, if you struggle with patience, check out my podcast, the Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast. It's on anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube channel for it as well. It'll definitely help. So if we get a pullback more towards the trend line, that's going to be a great opportunity to look for day trading longs, like on a 15-minute chart. If we break the trend line, it's fine. We have a demand zone at 0.708. It's a nice little zone, removed a very proven area of supply. So that's going to be a decent little pullback entry down below. And below that, we have a little bit of an older zone at 0.703 with a potential liquidity trap before as well. So it'd be great if we break this zone, maybe we get a small move, make a little bit of money. If you break the zone, I would like to see a reaction off this support, telling me there's stop losses here. It would make me even more confident in that zone on the Aussie US dollar. On to the forecast for the USD Swiss weekly time frame here. We have a weekly trend line to the upside. So that is still showing US dollar strength, and we pretty much have to go with this weekly trend line. And the positive sign is that we actually wicked into our daily demand. Full disclosure, our daily demand zone was drawn something like this. We came so close to a touch that I'm just being honest and upfront here. I decided to just bump it up just to be conservative, right? Just to basically say the daily demand is tested now. That's a conservative approach. So I'm just saying I did adjust the zone, not trying to be sneaky, not trying to say, oh, we got a reaction off the zone. I'm not doing that. It's just something I will do if we get that close of a pullback, something like that. If the zone was down here, then I'm not just going to extend it, right? It's just, it was so close that I decided to just bump it up and say that it was tested. On the daily chart now, we actually have a daily downward trend line. Didn't even notice that until now. But the daily demand's in control, which means we could be looking for longs on an H1 time frame. Unfortunately, there's really not much going on. Unfortunately, when we get such aggressive pullbacks like this, it's extremely difficult to get trading opportunities. So as far as trading the USD Swiss goes now, again, we have a weekly trend to the upside. We have a daily demand in control. So shorting really isn't the best idea right now, just to be upfront with you guys. On the downward trend line, we're quite overextended. We are close to the 50% mark, so a pullback near the trend line would be preferred for 15-minute time frame shorts. And again, it's not ideal to look for shorts against a trend, against a higher time frame demand, but you just want to be aggressive with trade management. If we do get a pullback up to 0.809, sorry, that's our 4-hour supply zone for a potential short trade to the downside. And if we remove the supply, that's going to be our, I don't really want to call it confirmation because the daily zone's down here, but it's somewhat confirmation. So again, if we remove the supply, any demand there is going to be our optimal trading opportunity because we have a higher time frame demand in control on the daily chart. And then on the weekly time frame, we have that weekly trend. So again, removing that 4-hour supply is going to be a very bullish sign. And hopefully it leaves us with a nice demand zone for a long opportunity. A little bit confusing because, again, I like to point out both sides of the story. That doesn't mean there's always going to be shorts and longs. Sometimes there's going to be both. So if you get confused, leave a question in the comments down below. I respond to literally every single comment and question. Crude oil, we have a weekly demand in control, looking somewhat strong. However, we've been kind of spiking up and down, up 8%, down 8% in a day a couple weeks ago. We have a daily downward trend line in control right now as well. So looking pretty weak on crude oil as far as the higher time frames go. I know the 4-hour isn't a lower time frame, but it's just, I'm talking about it's lower in comparison to the weekly. We have a very nice 4-hour trend line. And if we throw a channel tool on it, it's probably going to show we're at a decent area. We are actually in our golden zone right now. So if you want to look for longs, as long as this trend line's holding, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. And again, since the weekly demand is in control, it actually does favor long trades. So this trend line's a very good guide for day trading longs on crude oil. And then on the 1 hour chart, kind of the same concept here, guys. We have a 1 hour trend line. That's our guide for 5-minute time frame longs. And if we get a pullback, we have a nice little demand zone sitting down below at 83.13. Nice rally-based rally, single candle basing zone. Very good move away. Nice discount price. That's our pullback entry for longs on crude oil. Last but not least, we are on to Bitcoin. What an incredible week for Bitcoin. Incredible recovery. The weekly trend line has not been removed, but I mean, it pretty much has. It's very, very nice move up. Weekly trend line not looking as weak anymore. It's looking very strong. We have a clear area of resistance here, which I think we will be targeting that liquidity. And what do you notice above? It's our supply zone. So we could see Bitcoin maybe start to fall again around 89,380. Why did we get such an aggressive move up? Well, these black dotted lines, that's a monthly demand on Bitcoin. So we have macro demand control. You can say it's the economic whatever, this and that. That's fine. Very difficult to predict. We go off of technical analysis, and we have a monthly demand that is in control on Bitcoin. As far as trading it goes now, we have quite a few options. On the daily time frame, I was talking about this daily supply. I thought we would see a move off of it, but we blasted right through it. But that can happen sometimes. That's just the reality. Right now, we have a daily trend to the upside. If we do get a pullback on Bitcoin down at 66,027, we have a nice little daily area of demand down below. It's a good zone. It'll be a great zone to look for confirmation trades on an H1 time frame. And on the 4-hour chart, look at this. I don't know if you guys remember, last week we were talking about this 4-hour zone down below. What a move off of the zone. Again, called out in last week's weekly Forex forecast video. What a trade. I mean, that would have been like the trade of the year if you were involved in that trade. I mean, absolutely insane. Hopefully you guys hopped on that one. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Absolutely picture perfect trade and great way to end the week. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.